for the Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head acrylic nail art tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be doing a Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head 4-dimensional acrylic nail art design, and so his mouth, eyes, and hat or hair can come off, and it's all magnetic, so you can switch up the parts, and if you are doing this then you can definitely put and you can create the pieces that you like and so you can definitely switch it up. And if you wanted to take it a step further, you could also change out the shoes, and you could personalize even more if you wanted to just take it a little further. So I hope you like this, and don't forget to click subscribe to see my future videos as well. So I'm going to begin by gluing a magnet down just a little bit down from the cuticle, so just right there, using nail glue and these really teeny tiny magnets. And so then after that is on there and the glue has dried, I'm going to be covering up the nail with an overlay of of white acrylic. It's not clear. Don't listen to what I say. Just watch what I do. And so I know that the magnet is showing through and that you can still see it, and that is unfortunate, but it is okay. If you get it so that you don't see the magnet at all, just with acrylic, kudos to you. That is fantastic. I like my acrylic nails relatively thin, and so I always see the magnets just because they are the thickness that I like the nail to be. But I'm going to add another layer of that white acrylic just to try to get it as covered as I can. Just a little bit more, just like that. And since it is near the cuticle, that is harder. If it was right in the middle of the apex, you probably wouldn't have a problem because that area is thicker. But the closer you get to the cuticle, the thinner the nail gets, and so, yeah. So just make sure that you get that on there as good as you can, and then I'm going to be filing the nail into shape with my E-file. And if you watch my videos frequently, you know that generally I would add a layer of clear acrylic, but I did form my entire nail structure and shape there with the white, so there was no need for the clear as I would normally do. So I'm going to be filing that, and then because you can still see the magnet, I'm going to be painting over that with some white acrylic paint. You could also use white gel polish, that would also work. And then I'm going to be covering it with a layer of gel sealer, and then curing that. So now to form my potato, the base of the nail, I'm going to start with brown acrylic and just get myself a nice little potato shape. So a little thinner at the top, and then it kind of bulges out at the bottom, and then I'm going to try to incorporate 2 magnets inside that. But I was struggling because you put one magnet in, and then as soon as you try to get the other magnet in, they both just snap out. So as long as I have the dents in there, then I'm going to glue them in place with some nail glue, which, as you can see, was also causing me grief because there's another magnet inside the nail. So you got multiple magnets, and they all want to stick together, and they just they cause problems. But if you can make it through this part with the magnets, you should be good otherwise, because, well, magnets, they cause me trouble. And if you watch my previous videos that use magnets, you know that I frequently have this issue, and I've tried different methods and I've tried different products, and usually it just takes some work, and yeah, so I ended up gluing myself to the nail briefly there for a second as well. So it's all good though. Once they're in there, then just encase them with some more of that brown acrylic and cover them up and give your potato a nice domed potato shape. Just like that. And be thankful that your magnet portion of this nail is done. So now, using a medium blue, I'm going to be adding his shoes. And so I'm just going to add, and they're pretty simple, just kind of shoe shapes down there. Nothing too detailed. A lot of the detail comes with paint later on. But I am going to make them a little thicker at the end of them where the toe would be, and then just a little thinner when they get to his body. So it looks like they're going in a little bit. And add just a little detail just like that. And do that for both of them. So just a little bit more acrylic to the toe area. And thicken that up. And then with light pink, after I get the shoes all done and make sure I'm happy with those, I'm going to be adding his ears. So Mr. Potato Heads, they also have white arms. And because the background of my nail is white, the arms wouldn't really show up, and I figured that was a really good way to make it so that I didn't have to do the arms because they'd be very thin and delicate, so I just decided I'd skip the arms. So now I'm wrapping the nail up really tightly with some plastic wrap, and I'm going to be adding a magnet over the top of the eyeball magnet. So that's the one that is the upper one inside the potato. So then on top of the eyeball magnet, I'm going to be adding 2 eyes with white acrylic. So I'm just going to place down 2 beads of the white and form them into ovals. Just like that, and I'm just going to keep adjusting them until I'm happy with their shape. And then with brown acrylic, I'm going to take and I'm going to form eyelids on top of those eyeballs. So for the 2 eye shapes, I went with one that was for Mr. Potato Head, and it looks like he's kind of got half lids, and he's a little bit like, I don't know, not really scowling, but like, what are you doing? So then I'm going to be adding his eyebrows with black, and you want to make sure that his eyebrows are touching his eyelids. That is crucial because if they aren't touching, then they're not going to be able to stay. They're not going to attach. So then after that is on there and those have set, you can just peel those off and slide them off, and then add a magnet for the mouth area and then for the hat or hair area. And for his mouth, I'm going to start by adding his teeth over the magnet and on the low side of the magnet. So just touch the magnet, but just barely at the top of it, and then form them into a nice little trapezoid. And then above the teeth, I'm going to be adding his mustache. So then just spread out some black acrylic, and then I'm going to take my brush and just sort of separate that out into little mustache hairs, or you can also use a cuticle pusher like this, or a silicone tool would work perfectly well as well. And then after I have his mustache, I'm going to be adding his red nose. So I'm going to make a nice oval red nose, just like that. And same thing, keep pushing that in. And I ended up getting some red pigment from that red acrylic onto his white teeth. So we'll have to paint those later, but that's okay. You can always touch things up like that later on. It's no big deal. So then after you have his nose the way you want it, I'm going to go through and I'm going to be making his hat. So I'm going to be giving him a black hat. And I went with classic Mr. Potato Head accessories. So you frequently see him wearing a black hat, so I decided to go with that. But you can personalize this any way you want, and there are so many different sets for Mr. Potato Head that really the sky's the limit at this point, and you can do whatever you please. So I just added the first section of his hat, and I'm going to be adding the brim, so that top part was the part where his head would fit into. And so now this is just that, like I said, the brim of the hat going around there. And I know it's hard to see what I'm doing with black acrylic because the camera just makes that a black hole. So now to make my Mrs. Potato Head, I'm going to start and once again begin with her eyes. I like to start with the eyes. That's just, I don't know, the way I work. And I'm going to set those down. Same thing, begins the same way, 2 ovals for the eyes, and then just push them together a little bit and make sure that they are separated and they don't become one single shape, that they do have 2 separate pieces. And using the same blue as the shoes, I'm going to be giving her just a very slight outline of eyeliner on each eye. Just go through just a little bit, add that outline just like that, and then I'm going to be working on her mouth. And I know that you can still see Mr. Potato Head's hat. That's because I didn't do these in the order that you would normally think, and so the hat was still setting when I was working on her nose. So now I'm going to be doing her nose, and for her nose I'm going to be using a bronze color, so it's a little bit shiny, but it's still pretty much brown. And so I'm going to just first shape that into that shape, and then I'm going to be adding her lips. So she also has teeth that show, but I'm going to do those with paint and not do those with acrylic at the moment, just because it's such a thin little line that it'd be really difficult to get it with acrylic. It's going to look better with paint. So I'm going to get rid of that hat, just peel that off because it doesn't need to be on there at the moment. And then I'm going to be adding just some little bits of yellow for her hair. So I'm going to place down a yellow bead because she's kind of got the yellow blonde hair, and sort of spread that out, same shape as the hat, the base of the hat was. And then using the tip of my brush, just pull that out so it has a hair texture at the tip of it. Just like that, just like so. And then I peeled off all of those pieces because they're all done, and I'm going to start painting them. So I'm going to add black pupils to both sets of eyes, just with a black dot like that. And then I'm also going to separate the teeth on the Mr. Potato Head with some black, and then using diluted gray paint I'm going to be highlighting the black hat and the black mustache. So just with little lines on the mustache just to make it look like it's hairy. And then I'm going to be highlighting the Mrs. Potato Head with starting out with just some bright yellow, and then I'm also going to be highlighting her hair with some white in a moment, but I'm also going to be adding some light reflections on the eyes, and then also touching up those teeth with white because, like I said, they turned a little pink from the red nose. And then I'm also going to be adding the teeth inside Mrs. Potato Head's lips, just like that. And then highlighting that hair just a little more so it looks really nice and shiny and glossy, and also adding a highlight on Mr. Potato Head's red nose. And then on the bronze nose and on the brown eyelids, I'm going to be just adding a touch of gold for highlights, and then applying that top coat over the top of all of these little accessories for your Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. So now to highlight your Mr. Potato Head, I'm using diluted white paint, and I'm going to be highlighting the ears and then the shoes. So I just added a cross shape on the shoes for laces, and then a little bit on the potato itself. And then apply some matte top coat over that. And then you can start dressing him up any way you like. So I start out with Mr. Potato Head, and I'm going to take off those pieces, and then you can do a Mrs. Potato Head. And if you wanted, you could add one of your accent nails that goes with this. You could put a strip of magnets down the center, and then you could store all of your extra pieces on that nail if you wanted to. Or they kind of just stick to themselves because they are all magnetic, and you could keep those nearby if you wanted to. So this was so much fun, and you can make as many pieces as you want. I just decided to make 2 sets because I figured that was probably adequate for the video, but you could really run wild with this. So I hope you like it and share recreations with me on Facebook and Instagram, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!